we'll have accurate minutes.
Yeah,
Okay,
all right.
so now we'll.
Now you want me to do roll call?
Call the meeting to order.
Okay, Atkins,
Here.
Aldridge,
Isaac Resendez for pickup. Isaac Resendez for pickup.
Hannah,
Here.
Pruitt,
Here.
and then Cox is noted as absent. Since he will be, he's still officially on the board at this point.
Is he? I thought his last board meeting was.
No, until we find an actual member,
Okay.
then he was
Still
gonna
technically
stay on it.
Got
And
it.
because he wasn't sure if we had a hard time finding
Yeah.
quorum
Yeah.
to replace him,
Got
he
it.
wanted to be sure that he could come and, you know,
Okay.
to make us have quorum in case somebody couldn't be here. So that was kind of the deal.
Okay, so we're starting a new year and welcoming some new board members, hopefully, and so we'll jump right in. We usually start with our voting items first, and the first thing on the agenda is the June minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
second. All those in favor of the minutes for June, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, note that the minutes for June pass. The next is the financials for June.
And by the way, just a quick note, there were no July minutes because we suspended the July meeting.
That's right,
Um,
yeah.
And so I don't know if you all wanna, me to just, I mean, June financials are kind of, it's done, more or less. So I don't know if you want me to just kind of discuss the whole financial picture, if you wanna put the June financials to bed first, and then I can talk about July financials, because that's probably a little more important than the June financials.
We still need to go ahead though and
And approve both separately,
Right.
yeah, you would need
Yeah.
to approve both separately.
Does anybody have any questions about the June, financials?
From me, can we do just kind of a high level summary? I'm trying to pull it up here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
we ended up with, we ended up, you know, the 25 school year, which was this last year, the end of June, we ended up in good shape. Did not have, you know, our enrollment didn't end as high as what we would have liked, obviously, but it didn't really put us in any financial binds at this point. We had a lot of staffing, you know, that we, through attrition, decreased staff a lot, over the second semester of last year. And, you know, we can talk about that in our academics a little bit. I don't know if that was, you know, the best for the student learning, but that was just kind of the pitch that we were in at that point.
Mhm.
And so that's, yeah, so we ended up fine with a good reserve, still, and which we'll talk about the July, financials, we can talk a little more about that. But yeah, June financials, everything, end of the year strong and in a good position financially.
Do I have anybody that will make a motion to approve the June financials?
So moved. This is Hannah.
Second.
Second, Avi. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes to approve June financials. Moving on to July financials.
Okay, now these I'll pull up. One second. All right, there we go.
Okay, which one did you go to?
So, yeah, so we're working with 25, 26, that's not the right thing, sorry guys. That's the budget worksheet.
Future financials 2025, 2026.
Yeah, it should, yeah, that's what I'm trying to get.
And it's on Sheets, correct? Google Sheets?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Steph and I were working on, or we were cross-referencing. So Steph, just so you know, this is our approved, our current approved budget, which is not the final one that went to the state, or that will go to the state in September, but this is what we were working off of for our budget this year. So the reason this is up is because Steph and I were going through, Steph's kind of recreating, as you all know, I think, we are no longer going to be using, our plan right now, is to not use Natalie, and not renew our contract with Natalie on finances. I can talk a little bit more about that later, but APSRC, due to, which is a later item, but we have been approved for a charter impact grant through APSRC. And that is, basically gives us consultants on 3 different categories. That's around basically leadership and operations, around academics, and then around finance as well. And so we have a consultant for each of those areas, for those 3 areas, that'll be working with us. And so coincidentally, as Steph and I have been looking at moving away from Natalie for our finances, and she has too
Yeah,
much going
she has a
She has too
full-time
much going
other
on.
job.
She doesn't really understand like what's happening on the ground level for us.
Mhm.
Steph's built a ton of capacity, has done all of our Casco training, but she's not quite there yet. But she's not gonna get there as long as we're still working with Natalie, because Natalie just, things are on a deadline, and I was just like, I'll do it, and then Steph's like, but I need you to show me how to do it, she's like, well, it's just, it's on a deadline, so I'm just gonna do it. And so that's kind of where we got with that. And so we feel like this is, there'll be some growing pains, and today was some growing pains, because Steph, basically our budget worksheet that we use, Steph is going through and trying to make it. There were a lot of things with Natalie not being on campus, that things were coded weird, things like that, but now Steph's going to do direct coding. And so she went through and made another budget worksheet, which I will now
And
cast.
with the grant and having that extra support, we feel like Steph can get the adequate
Yeah,
training
yeah.
and onboarding to be able to do exactly what
Yeah,
that.
they're coming tomorrow, and so Steph will be meeting with the finance person. And she already started, it's funny, she had already started in July meeting with, or talking to APSRC about this. And Robin is their financial person's name, and that was it, oh, you should talk to Robin. So she's talking to Robin. When I went to Little Rock to meet with APSRC about this, I didn't really know what it was about. They said, hey, we'd like to come through and talk to us about an opportunity, and so I went down. And then Robin was there. She said, actually, I've been talking to Steph for the last month, and I didn't want to tell her that I would be the person she's working with until you had accepted this charter impact agreement. And so anyway, so that was already who she was working with, and who's been and has established a relationship with. And so she'll be stepping in to do, to kind of help us out there.
I think that's a good move, because we've been, struggling for a couple of years
Yeah.
getting that budget done
Mhm.
in a timely manner, and it kind of puts us really in a bind.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, it's just what it is. She has a full-time job,
Right.
and
And
she's
is
helping
consulting
us
with a lot of
out,
other people,
yeah.
and consulting with the state now, she's
Yeah.
running. And then the other thing is that Natalie, because she is working with the state, she's doing a lot of the financial trainings at the co-op.
Oh,
And so Steph, she did now like, hey, you should cover this one, we're gonna be covering this, and,
Yeah.
whatever. So,
Yeah.
so anyway, it's, there's a few things that Natalie's still kind of putting to bed for us, but for the most part, this is where we're going. So,
yes.
so this, I think, the reason that we had the other one up is because a lot of our budgeted amounts weren't correct, and so it was showing that we were like 250% over already. But you all know how this works, is that we basically, this is the amount that we have budgeted, that we should get. This is the amount that we've actually gotten up to this point. And then this is, the percent of whatever that budget is, so far, okay?
Yeah.
So as we go down through it, this is, you can kind of see, and this is all obviously revenues that we're looking at right now. We're on track pretty much, and we haven't gotten a lot of our revenues, which is normal, at this point. All the revenues are,
That kind of comes in at
yeah, in different waves. It just, everything kind of got held up a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know why everything's held up a little bit, but it's starting to come in, so that's that. So revenues, now I will say, this is budgeted right now around 215 kids, okay, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, because that's not anywhere close to where we are.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's-
And that's, an area of concern at this point. So, salaries, here's where we're at, and this number is not correct. So it's like I said, this is a work in progress right now, Steph's been working on it. She's pulling her course to try to get going. And then once again, child nutrition, that may be fairly close to correct. But this is first month, so that's where we're at. Custodial, we have some issues around that with our sharing of it with the Boys and Girls Club, which we're kind of working out. It is, basically, they gave us a number we've never had that area cleaned before. We've always had Josh clean. And then the staff back there, kitchen staff takes care of the kitchen and the cafeteria. Josh will take care of the gym. We'll also sometimes on Wednesdays do a deep clean of the gym with kids and have them help us do it. But we figured with the Boys and Girls Club, that we needed to probably, and they're gonna be using that more, and so we needed to get things.
I need Aubrielle Jones for pickup, Aubrielle Jones for pickup.
So we got that tacked on, and our quote this year was better than we've ever had before. We hired with a new janitorial service, it's better than we've ever had before, and they were doing more.
Eddie Longera for pickup as well. Eddie Longera for pickup.
Our previous ones, if we had to do a full building-wide cleaning before the year or whatever, we had to pay extra for that, or window cleanings and various things. This one, we figured out what all we have to have done every year. They gave us one bid for the whole thing, and it still was significantly cheaper than what our bids were the previous year for the other people. That being said, we added this on as kind of a separate thing, and Boys and Girls Club saw that, so that's way too high. That we have a cleaning service that will do it way cheaper, so we're now reinvestigating once again. So they've not sent their cleaning service over though to actually give us a quote on what it would be to do that, so.
What was the arrangement with the Boys and Girls Club, just in terms of like just expenses in general? So would they not pay for some of the custodial work?
Yeah, they will pay for all that custodial work.
Okay.
As far as with that, but not for the quote that we got.
Got it.
They said, so they were like, no, that's way too expensive.
Okay.
That's like, she said, my entire budget for the year for what we budgeted for cleaning that area,
Yeah.
we take up in 3 months. So she was like, we've gotta figure out something. So right now, we just basically suspended cleaning for over there. We're not going through that part of the contract with who we were working with. And we're gonna see
Lyric
what happens.
Lay for pickup. Lyric Lay
Is
for
there any
pickup.
other shared expenses, or is that just the big?
Some utility costs as
Okay,
well.
good.
And then some building upkeep as well, so we're about to have to look at AC usage over there, because the AC's broken in the gym right now. So we're about to have to get that fixed. So yeah, so that they have all that stuff budgeted out, and then they can just kind of tap into that as well.
Okay.
So, lawn care, you see we have a 3,678 that's been spent there. We bought an mower, and so we're bringing our lawn care in-house, and so that was the cost of our mower that we bought, and we're.
Josh is gonna do it.
Josh is gonna do it. We're probably gonna need to buy a better weed eater right now. He's using like a battery operated weed eater, and it just doesn't, for this size. He doesn't really want a gas weed eater, but he can buy a bigger battery operated, but anyway, so we gotta figure out something there. Same thing with the blower, we need a better blower as well, because it's, but anyway, so that we're bringing in-house. And then I think everything else is just kind of tracking along as it should be. There's something that's not right there, I think that budget is, or we may pay this lump sum up front. I'll have to find out what's going on there. And then the big issue financially is that our numbers, we're budgeted at 215. We right now I looked today, we're at 170. But we have quite a few they're looking at that we think will drop off of our books as well.
Oh, yeah?
Because they're no-shows, but that being said, we also have kids that are coming back already,
Okay.
right? And we have quite a few kids that are coming back, and quite a few kids that we hear are coming back. And so that's,
We really started this number. I mean, we have started at 175 for the
Yeah.
last couple of years. right?
well,
Is that right?
200-ish, yeah, I mean.
I remember 175.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about starting there, but we've been there maybe right before the first week enrollment boom happens, and then we traditionally picked up quite a few kids in the first week. We picked up some kids, 20 or so, 25 maybe, but But then a lot of kids dropped off of our roll too, and transferred.
Hmm.
We don't really know, you know, what, our ninth grade is super small right now. And so we ended up with 40 some odd at the end of the last year in ninth grade. We started the year with 28 or so. Right now, I think we have 18 or so in ninth
Oh,
grade.
wow.
And so that, I expect that to grow. I think that we'll grow that quite a bit. With that, and then really that 10th grade is fairly small as well. So, you know,
I think the lack of marketing has a little bit to do with that.
I think that's some of it. I do think that that's some of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think definitely Chris Stan was
Yeah.
out, you know, we have, well, there won't, I mean, you know, over the last
Mhm.
3 years, we've spent $150,000 on, between salaries for people that were doing that work and the actual work,
Yeah.
rebranding and, you know, and advertising and all that, you know, we've spent a lot of money on that. And then this is the first year that we didn't spend. We lost Chris Stan, of course.
Mhm.
And then we didn't really replace that. We just kind of got, well, let's keep posting social media, you know. But I mean,
But that's dropped too.
that has, we're, so, but we have, you know, an advertising budget of $3,500. I mean, that doesn't buy much advertising.
No.
No,
And so,
I'm hoping that with the teen center though, we're having a lot of those junior high kids come over.
Uh-huh.
there are a lot of 8th graders that are already talking about it, so that's good. That doesn't sell our bulbs this year. You know, and that, you know, and as I said, we're in a good financial position. I mean, you know, we've got a good cash balance
Mhm.
right now. But that's gonna quickly start going away once we start paying, you know, it doesn't take long for that to drain. I feel like, sort of my current plan, at least financially, give it till September 15th. October 15th is whenever we true up with the state and kind of put in our real numbers. Give it till September 15th and see where we're at, and then start making some decisions around budgeting and around what we can sustain for the year and what we can't sustain for the year. Because I mean, right now also, if you, I mean, everybody's like, oh, my class numbers are great. Well, yeah, because we've got, you know, 16 teachers and 160 kids or 170 kids, you know, well, yeah, that's, you know, that's 10 kids per teacher. And so, yeah, I'm sure the class numbers do look great, but that's not sustainable as a school. So so we've got to, you know, we'll see where we end up at. I will say also, and I know we've talked about this, Kinley went over, she's been working with the registrars of the district a lot, just to learn things about how they do registration, all that. They all are like, yeah, we're way down. Numbers are way down. And I don't know if that's a result of the LEARNS Act and the tax, you know, the incentives, the money that comes from the educational freedom. You know, if you get $7,000, if you want to either homeschool and can manage that, or if you wanted to, you know, use that towards whatever. You know, COVID, people learned they could, that was the other anecdote, and this is anecdotal. Kristen has pretty good contacts with Arkansas Connections Academy, which is one of the online schools, and she said their numbers are way up. And they were still hiring, like trying to hire all the way up into the school year because their enrollment's so high. So that's another anecdote of, you know, people are choosing online as well. So, of course, we know a lot of times the online doesn't work out and they end up here. So woefully behind. So, but that's, you know, that's the real picture of where we're at right now. My concern there is we are trying to finance long-term, we're trying to secure long-term financing with Hope right now for our construction loan and move that into long-term financing. So, and that of course is going to be November is when that's coming up with them. And I've come before the board, they let me know, like, let us know about enrollment. You know, if enrollment's low, please let us know. So like I said, I'm giving that a couple more weeks before I sound alarms, because I don't want to be too alarmist. But I'm going to be communicating this to them once we kind of stabilize and see where we're at. The thing is, I mean, you know, if we're at 170 kids or whatever,
Jackson Webster for pickup. Jackson Webster for pickup.
we may pick up 30, you know, 35, maybe 40 kids. I can't see us picking up 65 kids.
Right.
I just don't, you know, I just don't see that. So, we'll see.
How much do you receive from the state currently per
Around
kid?
7,000 per kid.
And then if they have an IEP?
Yeah, it goes around 10,000 per kid. We got a lot of IPs.
I'm just trying to.
Right, do the math, just average that out to maybe 8,000, then multiply that by what, 50?
Right now, we're 215 budget, it's 170
Um,
only enrollment, that's a difference of 45 and
Mhm.
$7,000.
Think about the percentage there.
315.
315,000,
Yeah.
that's significant,
Yeah.
that's some payroll, and a lot of
Yeah.
other things too.
Yeah. So that's something we're gonna
Mhm.
have to, you know, we're gonna have to figure out.
There's really not much we can do until September to attempt to increase numbers, just kind of wait and see.
Well, no, we're gonna keep increasing, we're gonna try to, I mean, I think September's when we start making plans around this may be the situation.
Yeah,
we're in,
right.
You know, of like, whether, you know, I don't wanna say reduction in force, but,
Mhm.
you know, that may be where we're at. I
Mhm.
mean, I hate to do that, and that's one of the things we're gonna talk tomorrow with the Charter Impact Group about, is what does that look like if you do that mid-year, you know? And you all know that I've been I'm really opposed to that from a
Keisha
ethical, personal
Peterson
level.
for pickup. Keisha Peterson
You
for
know,
pickup.
but we have the ability to do that, but it's just, we're gonna have to get a real picture of where we're at before
Mhm.
we start making those kind of hard decisions.
I mean, last year you had a few people that you knew were kind of on the fence,
Right.
and they kind of made their own way out.
Right, exactly.
That's-
We were able to do it through attrition last year, right?
Right.
No, right now, everybody's really happy, so.
I mean, if you remember last year at this time, we were 250 in the red, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then organically, it kind
We
of rolled
kinda-
off at
we kinda rocked the ship,
Lester,
yeah.
and we kind of,
Yeah,
you know, but it would be nice to not have to
Yeah.
navigate that.
yeah, well, and that's,
Now, like,
I mean, I think we're gonna pay the price of not having a real math teacher for 9th and 10th grade. And, you know, whenever, I mean, our scores have come out, but we haven't seen our growth scores. We know the achievement's awful. But that's, I mean, that's fine. If kids come in on a 3rd grade level and they perform on a 5th grade level, it still looks like they were awful, but you grew them 2 years, right? And so, we haven't seen what the growth scores are yet, and that's really the only thing we care about, because that's what matters.
Yeah.
Our achievement scores look really bad, for algebra 1 and geometry, but the kids were learning from, you know, Edgenuity with a proctor.
Yeah.
So, if you struggle with math, how well are you gonna learn there? The good news is we have an awesome math teacher now, so.
Good.
math is
really,
so
really
important.
Good.
Really good.
We touched on it in the past a little bit, and you were stating that you, instead of recruitment, it's retention. Especially now with the LEARNS Act and the money, and the number of people that are homeschooling, I think we're gonna see this as long as public schools, everybody except for the private schools, whose enrollments are way up,
Way
is
up.
what I'm hearing.
Yeah, they
And
are.
also whose the average cost is miraculously also gone way up. So, yeah.
But with that being said, is I know it's very early, it's only a weekend, but are we talking to the students that are leaving, and why are they leaving?
Yeah, so the plan right now, yes, we've talked to them, and I wanna do, I mean, the biggest ones that were sports, you know, and I wanna go to sports. We had a kid that went to Arts Academy because they thought there was a better music program there, they're coming back tomorrow. And so, but sports seems to be the biggest piece, but the thing, I mean, a lot of those kids are not gonna get to play sports. You know, so they're kind of like, oh, I wanna go over here because I wanna play sports, but they're gonna get there and they're either not gonna make the team, not have the grades to make the team, or not be able to stay on the team for a variety of reasons. So I don't know how long that's, you know, gonna be. And you know, we had sports, we had basketball here. And that was, it just didn't turn out to be a sustainable program for us, you know. We were traveling to Scranton or whatever with 5 kids. And, you know, and one of them went a cast or something, you know, so it was like, yeah, it was pretty rough.
Is there a way to just continue the collaboration with the Boys and Girls Club of, I don't know how, but if
Mhm.
there's some sort of sports program that we can say is in.
So there
It
is,
is,
so,
yeah.
so yeah, so we're gonna, what, senior league, is that what they call it? They call it, so senior
Okay,
league,
I
they're
didn't even
moving,
know. Yeah,
senior league,
okay.
they're moving here.
Yeah,
Once we
okay.
get our sport court, so that'll take place here.
Good.
So there'll be
That'll
all
be
those high school
huge.
kids coming here,
Yeah.
for senior league. And yeah, so that's one piece, I mean, I think
Yeah.
they're looking at having volleyball senior league as well here. So that's it, you know, so yeah, so if that gets kids in here, that might
Yeah.
help some.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it's so hard because it's like, it's overwhelming when I think about the big picture and all I can keep talking about, you know, and it's like, and yes, there are things we need to be doing. And we're gonna call every kid that's unenrolled, like, that was here with us last year is unenrolled, we're calling the parents, hey, if they wanna come back, why, you know, what was the reasons you left, but if you wanna come back, you know, the door's open.
Mm.
We've got, you know, we'd love to have you back, no hard feelings, you know, and they were a great student here, whatever. So that's part of the plan, increasing social media campaign, a big part of the plan, being out in the community more, as far as to have our kids out in the community more. Part of the plan, like I said, Boys and Girls Club, we've been talking to them a lot about, hey, be sure all these 8th graders know that, you know, that this is a place they can go to school. So, but I mean, it's almost like to me, it's like if we can make,
Jaquela and Naisha for pickup. Jaquela and Naisha for pickup.
maybe this won't be a great place. If you can make, things right here, where we know kids are growing, the internship plan's solid, the school environment's good, you know, and if we can make those things work, and I feel like things will fall into place. Last year's school environment wasn't great, and instruction wasn't always great. And that's, you know, and I think that we're suffering some of that, as a result of some of that too.
Spencer Heath for pickup. Spencer Heath for pickup.
So I mean, that's kind of what I just keep on saying about just make it the best experience for kids that we can, and for families, and they're our customers at the end of the day. I mean, I hate to use commercial terms to talk about education, but that is kind of where we're at now. I mean, we're fighting for limited customers, and we need to be sure we have that our customers are pleased. So that's, I mean, I will also say though, last year we got overwhelmed with, I keep thinking maybe this is a blessing because we got overwhelmed with the behavior issues last year, right at the first of the year. We've had some behavior issues, and we implemented a huge a multi-tiered behavior system support that we have. And if you have 15 kids you're trying to do that with that have all screwed up in the first 2 days, it's really, really hard to get that system up the ground and running. We've had like 4 kids so far, and we're able to really work the process with them and get our systems kind of in place. So I mean, I'm kind of looking at it as, well, maybe this is going to help us, this sort of smaller size right now, to get sort of some of the kinks worked out. So as we grow throughout the year, we really are providing a good environment. That's kind of the bright spin I'm trying to put on what our numbers are. But financially, there's not a bright spin on it.
Does anyone have any other questions about July financials? So our next board meeting in September is actually on what date? Do we know? Because we might have that answer.
Luna Davis for pickup. Luna Davis for pickup.
What's your calendar say for our next?
Our next board meeting would be the September 19th. Or no, that's August, sorry, I'm on still. Yeah,
So
16th,
it'll be in-
16th.
15th is when we're
Yeah.
projecting to have some, so it'll be the
Yeah.
day after.
Yeah.
Okay. So are there any questions about the current July financials from anyone besides what we've discussed? If not, do I have anyone who will make a motion to approve July financials as they stand?
So moved.
Okay, Bobby, is there anyone who will second?
Second.
Okay, Keenan, All those in favor to approve July financials, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? July financials pass as they stand, and now we're going to move on to the nomination of a new board member.
I think that one of you has to nominate.
I think you're right.
Yes.
So I will nominate, because I did have the pleasure of sitting down and we had coffee, and I learned a lot about Misha and just her background, a long-standing community member, has been born and raised here, has raised her 4 children here, and as I mentioned before, is a parent of a student that attends here, and has been very involved in the school. And I found out later that you have had an intern.
I had 2.
Had 2 interns. I found that out the
Well,
other
we
day.
did finish the year because she ended up doing online, but
Yeah.
yes, I had 2.
2 interns. So as you can tell, we have somebody who
Well
is
qualified.
invested in our mission and in what we are doing, and I believe would be a great candidate as a board member. So I nominate Mike. So,
So does that count as a motion for the nomination?
A
I
motion.
will second.
Okay.
Glad to
All
have you.
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion to approve new board member to our board. Thank you so much for joining us and helping us to create a great school. All right, so board officers.
And we don't have to, I mean, we probably are overdue to do it, but if we want to just kind of put a pin in this and do it next time, or if somebody's ready to make decisions around board officers, this is you all's thing, not my thing. But I think that Susan's terms are even 3 years now.
This will be
is-
going on 4.
4,
This
so
will be
I
month
think that we've got to, have a new president.
I think 2
and-
is,
And then, so just kind of, we can, like I said, we don't have to do this
yeah. And I'm
tonight.
not
If you all wanna
like
have a
going
conversation or
anywhere, so.
whatever, that's fine. Bobby, are you ready to be something?
Do what?
Are you ready to be the, basically what we wait on is somebody not to show up and then, and then they nominate that person as the president and, but, I mean, the main, I can tell you now, the main role of the president is to run board meetings. I mean, that's the biggest piece.
And I'm sure all of y'all can do a lot better job than me. Half the time I'm like,
I don't know, your parliamentary procedures got pretty good. And then, vice president treasurer is to run the board meeting if the president's not there. And then treasurer is basically, anytime we have check registers, they get sent to you, from Steph
Essay sheets for pickup.
via email, and they get sent to myself and to the treasurer, and then we have to approve them, and then, I mean, your job is just to kind of look through, if you have any questions, like, whoa, why are we paying $5,000 to this that we don't normally do, you know, I've never seen us pay people that, and then just get, you know, kind of know what's going on with the payments that are going out. So, yeah, so those are the roles. Why don't we, we'll just, on the next meeting, if anybody's interested in those
Yeah.
roles, let me know.
Yeah.
And then we'll nominate those for the next roles and, for the next meeting. And, yeah, if you would be willing to take one of those, then just let me know, okay? And otherwise, I'll ask you to, so.
And then, I don't know is it normal that the president rolls into the vice president? I know we've done that.
it like
in the
that, but and the
past.
reason we've done it like that in the past is because then
They
they
know
have if they need to step in and run the meetings, they
Got the experience.
They got
Yeah.
the experience, to do that, so we have done it like that in the past, so.
And
But
I
we don't
don't
have to.
mind, yeah, unless anybody really wants to, I mean, I don't mind.
I mean, the only issue would be whenever you're, off the grid.
I know, I do go on grid sometimes.
And we need a check register
But
approved.
thanks to Starling,
You've been
Approve those check
everywhere.
registers,
I'm
all right.
available.
Okay, so we'll put a pin in board officers till our September meeting.
Okay, sounds good. And then the next thing for voting item is merit pay incentive bonus. And
So I kind of outlined this to you all, and it's $3,000. And I'm hesitant right now just because where we're at financially, even though $3,000 is kind of a drop in the bucket to the overall, you know, picture of things, but it is, I mean, just because of where we're at right now, I'm hesitant to move forward with this, and I did want to get it on our radar. I think in principle, I mean, I think Christy completely understands, but I think if I can talk to her and say, I brought this to the board, you know, because where we're at with enrollment stuff, we're sticking a pin in it, we hope to be able to honor this, in principle in the future, but right now, we're just gonna, you know, delay. But basically what happened is, this is a new program, the Merit Pay Incentive, and I linked it in there, which is not gonna come up.
I looked over it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and you'll normally have the footage and the links in, I'm sorry. But and I can pull this up real quick. I do want to kind of make you aware of how awesome Christy is. So this is the merit pay eligibility. There's a lot of different pieces to it and amounts. You can get it for a few different things. Where Christy was at was in the top quartile of student growth over a 3-year time, which I'll show you her numbers in a moment. And that's a $3,000 bonus. You can also have it for teaching in critical shortage areas, so actually we do get, no, not that, Belt gets one for teaching on computer science, but you don't have any deadlines yet for that one. You can get one for mentoring future teachers, which we're actually looking at, that Christy may do start that program with us now. And also be eligible there. But basically what happened, this is the first time we've ever had anybody that was eligible for the growth, and it's a pretty new program to begin with. We just missed a deadline, or I missed a deadline, I understand.
When was the deadline?
The deadline we missed was to have their summative evaluation done. That had to be done in, the program's called EES. And that had to be done in EES in April. I do all my summative evaluations in May, at the end of the year, whenever we kind of graduation and things have slowed down, and we can just that's when I do it. And so I started doing summative evaluations. I said, hey, I've got to finish your summative evaluation, here it is, so now I should get a merit pay. And they said, no, that was due in April. And I said, well, I didn't see the webinar where that was, and they said, well, here's a PowerPoint that shows, you know, all the deadlines and what have you. And I said, well, I think it's crazy that a teacher has done this and you're not, you know, because I missed the deadline and no fault of road, you're not gonna fund this. And she said, well, we have deadlines for a reason.
Ooh, cold.
So,
I was just
Yes.
wondering if they were willing to work.
no, they weren't at all. And then I sent some more strongly worded emails, and did not get any, luck there. So anyway, that's where we arrived at. I accept responsibility for it, but it's just, that's where we're at. So I would like to figure out a way to get, you know, her a bonus, because I don't know if she's gonna do it again, because just looking at like our score.
What's coming
Yeah,
up,
what's
yeah,
coming up,
next
yeah, and
month.
it won't miss a deadline if she does. But she says that we won't do it again this year. It was her feeling on the kids that she just had, and where they were at and how much they grew. She's like, I don't know that we'll meet, you know, the growth metric. I did want to show you though how her upgrade growth scores, which would be kind of awesome to see.
And she is our past, received teacher
Oh,
of
yeah.
the year.
Everything, yeah, she's
Yeah.
awesome.
I remember the very first time we gave teacher of the year, she was our recipient.
So 80 is if all of your students grow to where they're supposed to be, you get an 80. Okay? So anything above 80 means that you've moved the needle on more students and further than what you're moved the needle further on your students than what their expected growth was. Anything below 80 means you didn't move on average, you know, all the students where they were supposed to be. So on the 2022 year, she was 78.52. And that was a rough year at the school, as I would say as well. We hired Courtney the next year, to kind of get things, you know, squared away. And so then in 2023, we went up to 80.33, right? And then in 2024, 86.6. And she blew, I mean, that's like really high, for growth. And she far exceeded far exceeded the top 25% for that year. I mean, she probably was in like the top 5% for that year. Really, really good on the growth there. But so that made her 3-year average, which is what it's based off of, 82.52. She might actually make it again because that 78.52, right, was dragging down. So if she hits 78.52 again, or even 77, you know, and we are below growth, she's still on the 3-year average is going to reap that 86.6 benefit. So she, it may come up again, but that's anyway. So she's our only teacher we've had do that, and it's, it's a testament to. I mean, she's a great teacher, and the good news is she's teaching physical science and biology this year, so she's doing both. So I think that's also gonna, which there's not a physical science test, but there is. I mean, I think that having 2 years with her will benefit our 9th graders, and hopefully our 10th graders as well. The other, and we can talk about this a little more academics. We've started really doing a lot of
Jayceon Robinson for pickup. Jayceon Robinson for pickup.
professional development around really what she kind of does naturally, which is Universal Design Learning, UDL is what it's called. And basically that's trying to make sure that every kid's learning in your classroom regardless of their level, okay? And regardless of their interests, and so it's really providing a lot of options, providing some choice to kids, different ways to tackle material, different ways to show that they've demonstrated learning. And Chrissy's always done this. She's always done this naturally. We did a ton of PD over this, and I've just met with all the teachers, and teachers are really, the school starting to grasp onto that and like really interested in it. And I just met with somebody, he's like, well, I used to always see what Christy did, and I dared to talk about Christy, and he's like, I wanted to teach more like Christy. And he said, but now I'm actually like, I understand like what to do, like how to do that. And so that's like one of our veteran teachers who's been really set in his ways.
Jaden Angel for pickup. Jaden
So that's super
Angel
cool
for
to
pickup.
see. And so it gives me a lot of hope that we're, of where our academics are, just in meeting with teachers and seeing how where they're at. So anyway, and she's also, Chrissy has some mentoring time built into her schedule as well. So we're hoping that she's going to kind of play a role in mentoring teachers along and improving our academics overall. So, good.
Christian Dooley for pickup as well. Christian Dooley for pickup.
Okay, so I have 2 things. One,
Yes.
if she qualifies to get it next April,
Mm-hmm.
would she have been able to get it 2 years in a row?
Yeah, yeah.
So we need to make sure she can get
Right.
it. Especially if she can have another opportunity to get it
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
And then, so we need to figure out,
I mean, we could raise some money around it
Yeah.
eventually. It
Yeah.
might be the way to pursue it.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah, she
Yes.
needs
Yeah.
she needs that. We need to figure that out for
Yeah.
her.
But
Because
also
she
the-
earned it.
To Susan's point, just to make sure it doesn't happen again where you miss the deadline, you do evaluations a month after when these are due.
Yeah.
What, do you potentially do it a month earlier?
Yeah. I mean, I'll just do evaluations
Okay.
earlier.
Okay, it's that easy.
Yeah, it's that easy.
Okay.
And then the second thing,
Serenity Thompson for pickup.
We have all the
Serenity Thompson for
important
pickup.
dates now on the calendar for this
So
specific
I was gonna say
thing.
that helps for me.
Yes.
Putting everything on my calendar.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
We've put a lot of these deadlines, that's some problems around AP testing last year, because it's the first time we've ever done AP testing here.
Mm.
We missed some deadlines around that as well, which it was fine, we were able to do some tests, but just caused some issues.
it just probably came later.
Yeah, well, and it's just, we've never done it before,
Yeah.
so it's like making sure those systems are in place and that we have everything kind of calendared, so.
The other thing is, if she does, you say that she's mentoring, she qualifies for that $3,000
She- yeah,
again as a
and you can
mentor
stack.
teacher.
Mhm.
And that would be given to her in April, I guess,
Mhm.
also, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah, we just.
I mean, we're really, and this is one of the things I do like about what's happening in education right now. In Texas, which is where a lot of this merit stuff is getting based off of, I wanna say their average teacher salary for a teacher that's doing like, I mean, they're in the 6 figures because of the ability to stack bonuses if you're doing, and stack merit pay, and then if you've got performance bonuses and mentoring and all, these sort of different things. And they're like, I mean, teachers are able to do pretty well. And so that, I think that's a move in the right direction, especially, the way they're doing it right. A lot of times those systems can penalize people that are working in rough schools, right?
Mm.
And so if you've got good kids from affluent backgrounds than the
Yeah.
rich get richer, you know, and it's like, right, because they're all reaping the rewards of like, oh, I can have kids that are, you know, that are really academically gifted to begin with.
Yeah.
And,
And they have the support.
right, and there, but as you'll see, this is all based on growth,
Mm-hmm.
not on achievement.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
so cool.
And so and that actually penalizes in some ways higher performing kids, because it's a lot harder. If you have a kid that's already really topped out, getting them to grow the expected growth level can be really hard. I mean, you've gotta have some really good, high-end programs at a certain point to get them to keep growing, you know? And that's what we keep talking about with our kids. A lot of our kids are so low, like we should be looking like rock stars, because we should be able to make them grow.
Mhm.
So, anyway,
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, that's $9,000.
yeah, yeah.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot, yeah. And she's somebody, I will say, at the end of last year, wasn't sure she was coming back.
Oh, wow, and she's like an amazing
Yes.
teacher.
Yes, and it had nothing to, I mean, it was the job to an extent, but it was just a lot of, it was a lot of things, I mean, like everybody else, you know, it's just a lot of
Sure,
other things
yeah.
going on as well.
All teachers are tired at the end of the
Yeah,
year.
exactly. It
All
is.
students are tired, all teachers.
She had
are
a
tired.
lot of personal, you know, health things going on with the people in her family and things like that, you know, so it's just like, it's hard whenever you're
She's
the
an
battery's running
asset
low.
that we don't want to
huge,
lose.
yeah.
Do we follow, like, the public schools, the Portsmouth schools pay scale? How do we,
No, we can't compete with them. We can't compete with them.
so where are we compared to?
Well, everybody starts at 50,000, and that's basically, you know, where we start. And then that's because that was a huge step up.
Gabriel Chanel for pickup,
And
Gabriel
a huge
Chanel
lift for
for
us.
pickup.
That's basically where we get, and we haven't increased enrollment since then. We haven't, you know, we haven't met our enrollment projections since then. We have done basically no raises. The only raises we've given since then are if someone gets their license, which is $1,000 raise, not much.
Mm.
And then their masters, and I think we do a $2,500 raise for that, and that's it. You know, and so but basically most of our teachers are somewhere between 50 and 60,000. All right. We do, if somebody comes on with us, and they've got a master's in 10 years of teaching experience, right? On the Portsmouth, I automatically put them at 67,000, let's say. All right, we can't compete with that at all. We basically look at where they would fall on 3 districts around us and try to average that and try to start them in that ballpark. So that's how we kind of made our offers. But there's no, every year you're gonna get this, the first few years we did that. You know, every year we were either given a bonus or a raise, and most times a bonus, because they say until your enrollment is stable and you have met, you know, you're where you're at, want to be on your cap, and you're able to have a waiting list every year, if you give a raise, you may not be able to sustain
You're
this.
stuck to it.
You know, you're stuck to it. And that, you know, that sucks. And it sucks too from a teacher's perspective, because if they stay here the entirety of their career and they're not getting raises, your retirement is based on your highest average of your highest 3 years of pay. You know, so if they're not, you know, they're looking over at this, over here, and, but I mean, the big districts right now, it's windfalls for them. Between, the millage that was passed, and then the LEARNS Act, but because of economies of scale, it just really helped them out a lot. And it really put smaller districts at a pretty bad disadvantage. And this is something everybody's dealing with right now in the smaller districts.
So how do we want to vote? How do I structure this?
We can, what I would say, I would suggest that we, you know, it's been brought up, we've all agreed in principle that we need to figure out how to make this happen. We just can't, with being fiscally responsible, make that happen. So it would be basic, what do you call it, table it, that we're gonna
Yeah, that's what we need.
move to table this issue, until a later date.
Okay, so can we move to table this, but have it again on our September
Mhm.
agenda?
Yep.
That's the way I
Yeah.
want to word it.
Yeah, for sure,
And let's revisit it
okay.
again, and let's also make sure that she knows that we really want
Okay.
to make
Alright,
this
I'll
happen.
talk to her,
Yeah.
and I've already talked to her
Yeah.
quite a few times, and apologized.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion motion to table the merit pay incentive bonus for, it's Christie.
Christie Humphrey, yep.
Yeah. Passes.
Daily
and
errands for
now we'll
pickup,
move on to
daily errands for
informational
pickup.
items, academic report.
So there's not a whole lot, basically, this might be interesting to you all, it might not be, I don't know. This is though, just so you know, and I mean, it probably would be, this is the RAP, which is kind of the famous thing now. We used to have to fill out a gajillion different forms in IndyStar, and sign them, and send them in, put all these different budgets together, and there's just all these different compliance pieces. Once again, one of the things I think that's happening right now is and we still have to use IndyStar to an extent, but there's a streamlining, and this RAP is sort of, this is what you turn in for the year, and it's your planning tool, it's your budgeting tool, it's your compliance tool, where you say, yes, we're gonna do all these things, all that, and so basically there's lots of different pieces to it, every tabs is something different. And so, there's a Safe and Healthy Schools tab, a lot of your federal fund stuff, quality education workforce, and so it has to do with kind of teacher recruitment, all that kind of stuff. Your state programs, Title I, and as you go down through this, you can kind of see like what's happening and what we're doing and a lot of it's just drop down reviews, which is, and so you can kind of see, a lot of stuff apply to us either, we're not chartered citizen program. But you can get into it and you can kind of look and see what we're doing, what we're not doing. And once again, this is, a lot of it's just saying, yes, we're doing that. And I don't know, there's not a whole big follow-up piece to it, so anyway, but that's kind of the key, this is the way. And then they come through, everybody at state has different pieces of it that they're assigned, so then they kind of look at it, they review it, they ask questions, they comment on it, they say you didn't check this and you should have, or you did check this and you shouldn't have. So anyway, this is the RAP, and that's kind of everything all underneath one. All this is just, all these are the different title programs. So I guess the piece that is kind of maybe interesting, our goals for the year are here. So our academic goal that we all agreed to, and we have some other goals too, these are the ones we put in our app, but our academic goal is that 100% of our tested students will meet or exceed projected growth on their ATLAS test in literacy for spring, and the same for math as well. And this thing is, there's something messed up with this thing. And so that's just what we all said, this is super simple, that we don't know, trying to say that we're gonna reach this on achievement, or we're gonna do, it just doesn't make sense for us. And so we just said, you know what, we should be able, if we need to guarantee that every single kid meets or exceeds projected growth, whatever that, because it's a good metric, it's a fair metric, regardless of where the kids are coming in at, it's a fair metric. So that's our academic goal, is that on their ATLAS test, they achieve that. On internships, by the end of the academic year, 100% of future school 11 and 12th grade students will complete a high-quality competency-based internship aligned with their career interests as measured by student and mentor evaluations. So that's sort of our internship goal, and then math and science were there. And then, so that's, that 100% of our kids complete an internship is also our kind of big distinguishing piece. We have some grade levels are setting goals, individuals are setting goals, those are kind of our overarching goals for the school. So, and that's really all I have for academics, unless you have, we talked about that, I did have on there the charter impact, I talked a little bit about that.
Yeah.
At the first of the
And what were the 4 people?
So it's three.
Three.
It's leadership and operations,
Uh-huh.
okay?
So that person will be working with?
John Bacon is who started East, or was one of the founders of East STEM Academy in Little Rock, and is now, coincidentally, we are up for charter reauthorization this year as well. It's the perfect storm of, we're up for trying to get a loan charter reauthorization at the same time, and that's gonna hopefully happen in October, but he is also on the charter authorizing panel, so.
And he'll be working with you and
Yes.
Courtney and Allison.
Yep.
Okay.
And then academics is the other piece, and it's a gentleman that's worked a lot in Little Rock with a lot of at-risk populations, and I think he'll be really good to work with some academics. And really, it's kind of like, they're coming in here as a team, and it's really like, what do you need? Like, where are your greatest areas of need? You know, we need it all, so we'll, that's what I'm gonna let them know. But, and then the third area is finance. So, and they have one person for each of those. So we're meeting with them tomorrow at 10:30, and I'm not exactly sure what it's all gonna look like and what, exactly how much support they're,
Like once a month?
but it's 3 schools in the whole state that are getting this.
Oh.
So it's
okay.
us, it's Westwind, is that the Performing Arts Academy in Little Rock? So there's a Performing Arts Middle School in Little Rock. They're also getting this assistance. And then the KIPP Delta is also getting the assistance. And basically identified schools that they really believe in, that they believe in the mission, that they're fulfilling kind of an interesting, unique charter space that other people aren't necessarily doing, but also schools that they think need help, in whatever that may be. I mean, everybody's issues are kind of different. The Westwind is kind of, they have issues around facilities and their growth strategy. Right now they're only serving 2 grades. Are they gonna go down and try to scoop up younger kids or go up older kids? So they have kind of like some bigger issues. The KIPP Delta has all these issues around.
Is this like near Marble, Arkansas?
Yeah, so
I've
it-
been to this
And,
school.
yeah, and
I
so
just looked
it
up.
was the shining jewel
They
of the whole
claim-
state for years, but they were reaping the rewards of Teach for America was placing, they were basically a Teach for America training ground, and they would just had a constant pipeline of these like passionate, and if you know anything about Teach for America, it's awesome, but the amount of time, it's like going and doing the Peace Corps or something. Like you go and do it for a couple of years, you get your credentials that, hey, I did this, now I can go into politics or whatever else it is, having shown that you, worked in a really rough school that's high poverty, whatever, and so they don't stay there. But they constantly are churning out these really like passionate, talented, well-trained. Teach for America is a great training program as well. And so they're constantly churning them out. Well, now TFA is realigned and they aren't feeding them anybody. And so they're trying to figure out like, how do we sustain this in this area without the talent pipeline that we've had access to in the past? So we're all kind of facing, all of us are 3 different schools facing different things, but that's where we're at.
One more thing that I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention. I received an email from Boyd, and you guys probably did too, about the upcoming training in November, I think 13th.
Yeah, I think that's what barbecue provided, I think.
And that's gonna be here.
No, that's at Guy Fenter.
Okay,
So-
that's
so
where
there-
I went last
so
year
there will
for my
be-
training, and it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, Guy Fenter does a great job, and ABSRC, I think, provides the training, the board training out there. And so there will be, Guy Fenter will have training opportunities for you all. You need 6 hours, you need 9 over the whole calendar year. So she'll have until next August to get 9
Yeah,
hours.
from
You
where
all
we
need
are
6
now.
hours before December.
December
Yeah, before January. Yeah.
31st.
And
So this is only 3 of those. though.
this will be 3 of those. They'll have another night as well. And I encourage you to go in person. It's great. There'll
I
be
went
one in
last year.
Northwest Arkansas as well, at the APSRC charter offices, which are in Johnson.
Oh, Johnson?
Well, it's right there by Pizzeria Ruby. Go eat there. It's delicious. If you haven't ever eaten there, it's right by their offices. But there'll be those, and then there'll be the online ones. They kind of don't like to do the online ones, but it's also like, sorry.
Yeah, I know.
It's a
Just
volunteer
don't
position.
have to-
You know?
And just so y'all know, like, Guy Ventnor's at County Line. School.
Yeah.
So it's like right before you get to Paris, Arkansas. Yeah. Yeah. I went to one.
They do feed you well.
Oh my gosh.
At
the
the
food was
Guy Venner one's
amazing.
special ones, that's-
If you know that barbecue place is in Boonville, and it's
That's-
awesome.
I don't ever go to the superintendent meetings at the co-op, but that's basically what they're all talking about on the emails. After the superintendent meetings is who's catering this. you
Yeah.
know?
Well, everybody was talking about the food last year too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It was
So,
really good, and I was like, oh my gosh.
When did we receive the email, Boyd? I apologize. I'm looking for it right now. I cannot find it.
I can forward it to you.
I appreciate that.
And I think I replied back to sign me up.
Yeah, I did a yes. But- And we'll make sure,
I was gonna ask.
yes.
Yeah, and now I will add you to right now, what's your, how'd you, they have it. Have you really know? No, I don't. Let me add you to my contacts.
And August 15th is when you sent it.
Oh, okay, I
Okay,
was like,
in August?
no,
Yes.
it's in, yeah.
No,
it's-
That was when I sent it.
That's when it was
Yeah.
sent.
You sent it on August 15th.
But it's
Okay.
November 13th.
That's correct.
Contacts, sometimes. Okay. Here, let me send you- What's your email?
That's gonna be my first name, MEISHA, dot Campbell, CAMPBELL, at hrblog.com.
HR block?
Yes. So I'll live in that one.
Okay, yeah, and then. Okay, and then I'll get you added to the board, all the board information.
I just sent it
So
to
that
you.
you- so you get all the infrequent emails that I send out. You don't expect, you'll get a couple a month, that's maybe, if it's a busy month.
All right, well, look at us.
All right, anything
Yeah,
else?
is there, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a couple things.
Okay.
I want to go back to our budget and our time and just, I'm thinking out loud,
Mhm.
probably the best way to say it. I hope our numbers go up. I hope we pick up 30 more students and get there. And that is a deficiency in our budget that we can probably overcome. But if we stay somewhere in the 170 to 180 range, that's pretty darn significant. And I don't know that we can overcome that.
Right.
Do we dare? And what difference does it make? Which I would think it would be quite a bit. But do we dare talk to that particular teacher now, today, and start filling them out? I mean, is there an opportunity for that person, hey, we're not gonna have the students, we're gonna have to make cuts, but instead of keeping you here until September, or keeping you here until October, and then cutting you loose, if we cut you loose today, can you go get another job at Alma, or wherever else it might be? And that's what I'm struggling with is, yeah, I hope we can have enough students and we don't have to let any teachers go, but the reality of it is, everybody's hurting with these numbers if you're not in the private schools sector. So they're depending on a paycheck. And the last thing I wanna do is, they could have got a paycheck if they had known a month earlier.
Yeah,
It's a double-edged sword, because if you're going to sound the alarm a little too preemptively, you could potentially have them, you might lose them, where you could have kept them.
or might lose even more.
Right. Right. It's-
That would be, that, my main concern why I'm trying not to sound the alarm, I hear that for sure, is, and have not talked to our, Russian first
Right.
teachers at all, this is probably Russian is,
Until it becomes.
I
more
don't
reality.
want people to, I've been very, stringent about, we need more kids here. This is not sustainable, and I've said that, I've not said anything about,
Repercussions, yeah.
But, I think that people are aware of that, but I'm worried that there may be some people that are like, well, this is a sinking ship, I've got to jump, and we may lose a Christie, or somebody that's really vital, that then takes that opportunity to bail, which maybe that's, I don't know, that's a scary thought to me, but it also, if you reduce numbers at the end of it, you're reducing numbers, regardless of who it is that leaves. And I don't really have the positions for where it would be. I don't know if I don't have a matrix by which we would say here are the people that we would have to
versus merit. You know,
Right.
you've got a teacher that's well performing versus, and even if it's a new teacher that's performing lights out versus an old teacher that's
Right.
average.
Right.
You know, I
Negative,
don't
the
know.
performance metrics, they're as good as the students. You could have the luck of the draw, you just happen to have a great crop of kids. Yeah, you hate that you kept a teacher because of the sole base of performance when there's probably a couple other factors too.
Yeah.
It's a hard one. There's
And so,
not-
well, it's also, and then there's also need, right? So
Sure.
there's, you need, you know, your English teacher, you need your
Mhm.
math teachers, you need, you know, your social study teachers to an extent,
Mhm.
right? You need your science teachers, those, you've gotta have those. When are you do electives? You know, but
Mhm.
we also need those because the state's judging metrics on how many kids complete career pathways. And that's a metric that you get graded on now, and if we don't have elective teachers to help us complete those career pathways, then we're getting deemed there too. That's, yeah. It's not a, there are, Bobby, to your point though, I think it is worth potentially having a conversation with a few people that I think maybe, you know. But, well, I'll say that,
We're one week
No.
in
Yes.
yeah.
of schools.
I mean, I think to me,
So-
September 1st is where I'm really looking. And here's the other problem I'll say about our teachers specifically, none of them are licensed. You know, there's a
They
few that
can't
are,
Okay.
but there's very few of them
go
that
to
are.
Alma.
So
Or
there's
they
really
can't-
not.
That's a big factor
Right.
in what I'm
It-
saying.
yeah, I mean-
As much as I don't wanna let anybody go, ever, for whatever reason, if they're performing and we can have the money to support it, then let's do it. But if they're, you know, if they had the opportunity to go somewhere else,
Right.
and they're here because of a passion or a calling,
Right.
that's one thing. If they're can't go somewhere else
Right.
because they don't have that license, then that's a totally different.
So, yeah, I mean, we've got like,
Special education's the only one that's required to
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
certification.
and, I mean, we do have Mary, Tiffany, and one more, Ally, all got their license, but it's probationary that they have to be working, which we've created for them, so many periods of the day in whatever they're getting their license in, right? So then all of a sudden you've got not only would they have to go somewhere else, but someone else has agreed for them to be probationary and agree to give them the 3 sections of English 9 that they need to have, because that's what their license is gonna be in. So that also kind of paints them into a little bit of a corner as well. Yeah.
They could go to another school, but they would be on probationary.
Yeah.
and-
We do have one small, and this won't affect the budget much, we do have somebody who'll be going on maternity leave, long-term for the semester. We have a staff member who will be getting paid, the state's basically reimbursing for maternity leave now, for your cost incurred for maternity leave. And poor Mary last year had a baby, who wasn't required at that point. So, anyway, but they really weren't offering to do this at that point. And so we have somebody on staff that was kind of fulfilling a special ed role that they're gonna be able to just slot in there, so that'll offset some of the cost of that staff member, because they're gonna take on the long-term sub position for that
What
person.
class
So
is it?
it's English and orchestra, and it just happens to be the person that is also English and has a minor in music. So,
Oh.
yeah, so, and, so it was kind of crazy, because Ally was like, here's, who I think we should do, and here, when you were gonna find me a long-term sub, I was like, well, we have this person on staff that could probably do it, and so,
Wow.
yeah, it worked out
Well, on
What
a
else?
more positive note, we at the college, Arkansas College of Health Education, are trying to do our community outreach, our student outreach a little bit different than we have in the past, and changing our focus groups. They used to focus real hard on 5th grade students.
well.
And they'd give them a field trip, and they would come spend a day at the research institute, learning about nutrition and cook pizzas and that kind of stuff. And that wasn't getting the bang for the buck
Mm.
that they were looking for. So They've hired some new people in different roles that now I'm talking way above my pay grade.
Right.
I don't really know exactly what they're doing, but I have had conversations. Todd Marshall, who used to be the principal at Chapin Junior High / middle school, is now at the College of Health Education. His number one job is community development.
Awesome.
And the head of all those programs. I told him that we needed something. I don't know what something is. That's what I'm asking that question is do we have, one of the things that Todd and I were just spitballing, and neither one of us knowing what we're talking about, was X-ray techs or students that might have a desire to go somewhere in the healthcare field, whether that be, a doctor, or whether it be somebody that understands how to code the nursing language that is so huge right now that they're looking for, and they can't seem, especially Mercy, can't seem to keep people. Is there do we have students? How do we identify those students?
For sure.
Or is there some program that the college, can cater to future school, very specifically the future school, to help the healthy environment, wellness, to educate the students, but also to help future school, and maybe even help as a recruiting tool. I mean, if we could come up with a program, per se, that you're a X-ray tech in training, or you know, a nurse's aide, or whatever that might be, and start offering that, that's something that I'm not seeing Peak offering.
I was gonna ask about, are y'all reaching out to Peak also?
Yes,
Okay.
and to some degree, but again, I don't know to what level. And I know that this is in its infancy,
Sure.
what we're talking about at this level. And at this point in time, the sooner I get in there and throw some ideas, the chances of that spitball actually sticking are better.
Are you like a WOTC type program or?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm just thinking out loud is we have people that are passionate for healthcare, passionate for healthy and improving health and wellness. That's what our mission is, to serve the underserved. And I mean, our community, our school, our future school, in my opinion, it fits all those key factors.
I knew that Mr. Marshall had taken on a role there. I didn't know what that role was. So it's community outreach. What is it? Community?
I'm not,
There-
he's got a long,
new-
huge title, but
Okay.
he's taken over Barry Owens' position.
Oh.
And
Oh, wow.
Dr. Owen,
Yeah.
Dr.
He
Owen,
was an OG.
he retired
Uh-huh.
because of his wife's cancer,
Uh-huh.
which, by the way, she's doing great. But anyway, he stepped completely away, and Todd came in and took that position and that role. And they didn't like the fact that we were seeing so many we were spending so much time with fifth grade students, and it really wasn't sticking with them. I mean, it turned into all the superintendents of the River Valley area were booking fifth grade trips.
Right, yeah.
Every week, and bam, bam,
So-
bam. It became a field trip instead of a.
Connect with
I think our
Allison.
next step would be if he get Allison.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about identifying specific students,
Yes.
specific interests, and we've got, every one of our kids.
And he's got somebody that has just recently come on board in the last month that is actually the coordinator for this type of program. So I just need to get, I need to get our people.
Well, let's
that-
get something, and I'll
It's
talk to
Allison.
Allison about, and I'll
Yeah.
shoot her a text tonight,
Yeah.
and talk about it, because that'll be right up her,
And anything that you can think
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
that she can think of.
Yeah.
I mean, are students asking for something
Right.
like that?
Absolutely.
We have a resource, and that's one of the way you said that made me kind of smile. The Fort Smith Public Schools and the Arkansas College of Health Education have a good partnership, but yet it's not what we think it should be. And we're not getting the recognition from the Fort Smith Public Schools for what we really do for the Fort Smith Public Schools, and there's some hard feelings that are starting to form a little bit. So it's been pretty interesting. So they're looking to broaden their horizons.
I hear you. So, yeah. let me
Awesome.
know that.
No, that's exciting. That's super exciting.
Yeah, yeah, Allison would be the person, and Allison.
Yeah, we'll get a meeting for,
I think
get all
that's
the
a
minds
great
together and brainstorm and come up with some stuff. I mean, Allison made that, oh yeah, this would be awesome.
Oh, yeah, she
Yeah,
will
yeah,
be all over
Yeah,
that.
so,
That's great.
awesome,
That would be a good partnership too, so
for sure.
we would make sure that they are well recognized. I'll post on
Funny how
social
it-
media.
It's funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah. Is there anything else that anybody has before we make a motion to adjourn? Okay, welcome back to school, boys,
Yay,
and
it's
we
exciting
will
times.
revisit everything that we kind of discussed and have a better idea on September 16th. And moving forward, we discussed meeting in person if that works for everybody, and we'll just meet here.
I'll see if I can get the intercom shut off in this room.
Yeah.
So,
It's, I mean, it's school. To
It
me,
feels like
doesn't-
school. I know.
doesn't
It-
matter.
it sounds like it's
I mean,
figured
like,
out.
it doesn't bother me.
I'm used to having like brief
Yeah.
moments to pause in my conversation while I listen to the announcement and continue on, so, it's good for me.
So before I have to make a motion to adjourn
Yes.
the meeting. So, do I have anybody that will, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting, is there anybody?
Second.
Good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, the meeting is officially adjourned at 6:47. And until next September. That's
Awesome.
always so weird to me.
Glad to have you on board.
Let me stop our, yes.
Is the charter school group doing